Alright, before we get into the show, I just want to let everybody know, in case you've been thinking about getting one of these for some of your loved ones, Walmart has stopped carrying the Be Ready bag. I've looked nationwide and I've asked several of their employees. They no longer carry this. They've taken it off their shelves. Don't know why, but just know it's not there. Check out some of our videos on bug out bags, go bags, and be ahead of the curve. And now you have the survivor's edge. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Survivor's Edge. I'm CEO Prepper, and today we'd like to thank all of our oldest and newest subscribers for helping us to hit this milestone of having over 500 subscribers here on YouTube. And I just thank you humbly from the bottom of my heart for tuning in, and we'll continue to bring as many episodes as possible as time permits. Now, today we're going to be discussing why there are not as many black preppers out there. Actually, this is a video in response to um, another black prepper by the name of Dimcad, who did a video on this a while back, and I've been meaning to get to this subject for a while now. So we'll go ahead and get to it, and I'll put a link to his channel in the description below so you guys can go over there and check that out. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the education, because any strong personal development begins with a good foundation, and our public school system has become little more than an indoctrination system. And what I mean by that is the educators in our public school system, due to a lot of policies that have been enacted over the years, has turned our public schools into little more than indoctrination centers, specifically for leftist, socialist, extremely liberal ideas. And that's why you see um, a lot of young people not have critical thinking and problem solving ability skills that most employers are looking for and have been looking for pretty much forever. And the children that aren't into the groupthink mentality are being ostracized and shamed. Now, in the world of scouting, and I actually can say this from personal experience, Boy Scouts actually taught boys and young men how to be prepared for emergency situations, how to survive off the land. They taught them a sense of discipline, and they really taught a sense of togetherness in a unit. Now, Girl Scouts, on the other hand, I've never put my daughter through Girl Scouts, but from my understanding, they basically teach young ladies how basic business skills through selling Girl Scout cookies. I mean, that's all I knew. So when it came to girls coming into the Boy Scouts, I was kind of against it at first, but then I realized, wait a minute, they're teaching the young girls the same skills they taught us. So this actually is a good thing. However, while we celebrate women being brought into the Boy Scouts of America and learning these same skills, not enough black children are being exposed to this program and learning these skills. Now, I've heard from a lot of people that employment has a lot to do with not being able to prep, whether their job sucks, they don't get paid enough, they're not getting enough hours, whether in the service industry or, I'm sorry, the retail industry or the food service industry. They feel that they may not be making enough or, getting enough hours. Basically, you can see if you can get more hours, and if you can't, get another job to kind of supplement. Um, and another thing has to do with cutting costs, but we'll handle that in another area. Now, Another thing you can do if you want to move out of that industry but stay in the customer service field, work in a call center. A lot of call centers are making anywhere from $15 to $20 an hour now. Um, in fact, a few of my friends work at Geico, and they make quite a bit of money in their call centers. Also, the gig economy, which I've actually driven rideshare and even a couple delivery companies. I've driven for them for the past 3 years, and actually I was doing it full time for a while, and you could make a good money. You can't do it as much now, but if you do multiple ones, you probably can still make a pretty decent living. But due to oversaturation, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd recommend it more as like a supplementary income to one of the to any job that you may have before. Now, a friend of mine actually does Airbnb, and from what I understand from her, she actually has a lot of fun doing it. And she actually gets enough business to where it pays her mortgage. So basically, the money she makes from her regular job, she just pays, all the other bills, utilities, car payments, so on and so forth. And she still has enough money laying around to do whatever. Now, you can also go into manufacturing. There's a lot of factories opening back up. You can also go ahead and get your CDL. That's not for everybody. The trucker life ain't for everybody. You can also go back to school, become a professional, whether it's real estate, medical, the legal or business field. Basically, in the end, it comes down to how much are you willing to work. Okay, 2,000 years ago, the ancient Romans figured out how to keep the populace from being so concerned with political matters. So they basically just flooded them with games, gladiatorial, chariot races, art, theater, um, social clubs like the bathhouses, so on and so forth. Now, fast forward 2,000 years later, and you basically have the repeated history where you have nightclubs for youth. People are distracted by the music industry, by sports. Basically, people pay more attention to, who's got the latest music out, who, especially in the younger generation, um, guys, we always love our sports. So we don't pay attention to politics. And so it allows the mainstream media to basically flood our synapses with trash, basically. And therefore, they can take one picture and kind of chop it into whatever they want it to be, instead of what it really is. And that's where a lot of people are getting caught up, and that's why you have so many people that are divided both politically and along racial lines. Because whether you want to believe it or not, the mainstream media has an agenda. Um, they have an agenda that is not in your best interest. It's a very political agenda. In fact, in the 1970s, Congress asked the director of the CIA how many people do they have on their payroll in the mainstream media, and he refused to answer it in the public forum. He wanted to answer it in a private forum. So yes, the government is manipulating the media, who in turn is manipulating the masses, aka us. I usually go for independent journalists who actually go and dig for the stories. I don't listen to anything like the Young Turks or Vox or anything like that, who actually do have a political agenda. Okay, now this next section called Dependency on Government Services, we're going to focus on President Lyndon Johnson's War on Poverty. Now, right before he signed the War on Poverty Act in 1964, he said this quote. So I'm going to leave this right here so you can read it and digest it. Now, for the past 54 years, President Johnson has been proven correct, and the black community has almost overwhelmingly been voting Democrat almost on a generational basis. Now, the war on poverty has been an absolute failure. There is no way around that. Or was it? If you look at Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, here's an article with some excerpts from the book itself, which talks about what the government must control to control the people. So therefore, you have people that are dependent on welfare, food stamps. You control the amount of food that people can buy. They cannot prepare for emergency situations. They can't stock up food. They are dependent on the government for their food. I'm going to highlight here this lady's sign about Section 8. She says that we got to have it. I understand that people with mental and physical disabilities and elderly, they may need government housing. Anybody that's ever been to Section 8 housing knows it's not the most luxurious thing. However, there are people that are able to work and that choose not to, that live in Section 8 and abuse it. Now, most low-income black communities around the country, if you go into them, they're going to look like slums. And the Democrats, they always try to sell that, hey, you need the government. You need the government to live. We'll give you free stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Not thinking, how does this stuff get paid for? What happens if the economy collapses? Who's going to pay for stuff then? And then the general populace, especially the masses in the black community, will tend to starve or turn on each other. And then, once they turn on each other and burned out all the resources in the immediate area, they'll spread out. And I'm not saying this is just the black community. This is just people in general, whether you're white, black, Hispanic, whatever. That's going to happen regardless. History has proven that time and time and time again. When my wife and I first got together, she actually had just gotten on the welfare, and she learned something really quick because she used to be a Democrat. And she learned something real quick, and I think it was more of an eye-opener, that Section 8 food stamps, all those welfare programs are actually designed to keep people on the system, because if you start working and everything and getting off the system, you lose it. And I think people get, they get dependent on the system, and that's basically what the trick is. You become dependent on the system because you notice that, hey, wait a minute, I just lost all this free stuff. And so you do everything in your power to stay on the system. And my wife was not the type of person that, wanted to stay on the system. So she used it to the point just like it should be used. And she moved herself completely out the system. However, not everybody has that drive and determination or the ability to get off the system. And there are people that just simply abuse it and will do anything to stay on the system, and trying to tell them and to give them that drive, you basically are talking, you have a better chance of getting through to a brick wall than you do a lot of these people on the system, because then they'll offer up every excuse in the book. And I have actually tried this with a lot of people, and I've had the same reaction happen every single time. They will fight to stay, to tell you why they need this. Well, if the government collapses or the economy collapses, what then? That's always the question I like to ask, and I never really get an answer. Okay, this last section is interest in the preparedness lifestyle. Now, since birth, we've been basically indoctrinated to go for career, nice car, nice house, family, sitting in front of the TV, having family time, being interested in sports, music, and in some cases you have a lot of people, especially young people, trying to emulate a lot of these hip hop rap artists, things they see on TV, going to the clubs, meeting people, different random people, um, and basically just trying to be seen. And so basically, yeah, I'm going to say it's kind of a breakdown of morals, but um, for the most part, you have people just being out there having fun and having different interests that is not in preparedness. They'll watch TV. I mean, I don't know how many people I've run into talk about Game of Thrones or Walking Dead. A lot of people will tend to go shopping and they'll go for the newest thing out there, whether it's TVs or shoes or whatever. So they're always out there trying to make that dollar. They'll run things up on credit card, which therefore is always charged on interest. So they're paying double back what they spent on the item. And this is a form of debt slavery. So they're always chasing that dollar, not saving anything for a rainy day fund. Everybody's telling you join us in this mentality, and you're being led off of a cliff. These so-called black leaders are continuously leading you off a cliff while getting rich themselves. Now, there are urban community gardens out there, um, just like there are suburban gardens, but these are urban community gardens. So you got a lot of blacks that will be very helpful in teaching you how to build and maintain a garden on your own, so that you can also spread that knowledge elsewhere. Same thing with hunting. There are blacks that go hunting and fishing that will teach you how to catch, clean, and prepare your catch or your kill. And so we encourage you to, by all means, check out the preparedness lifestyle. It could save your life. And that brings us to the end of this episode of The Survivor's Edge. I hope you found it enlightening and educational. And if you feel, and please like, comment, and subscribe. Smack the bell for our latest episodes when they come out. And by all means, check out our pages on Facebook at The Survivor's Edge and Black Prepper Society. And if you have any questions, comments, leave them in the comment section below. I always try to answer them as early as possible. And if you want to email me a question that you don't want to put out, just go ahead and email me or hit me up on Twitter at CEO Prepper, and I'll get back to you guys as early as possible. Now you have the Survivor's Edge.